Here are some mods for the Mercedes W124 that have improved the driving and ownership experience of this car. So I just want to say first, before you do any mods, you should definitely take care of any maintenance that your car may need. Having your car fully maintained and operating correctly goes a long way. So a lot of these cars will need some stuff like head gaskets and whatever oil leaks and cooling system issues. So make sure all that's taken care of before you do any mods. Having a properly functioning car is the best mod to do. If you drive your car a lot at night, LEDs are probably one of the best things to do for your car because it will greatly improve the nighttime visibility. And LEDs made in the current times have greatly improved to where the beam pattern is the same as a halogen or nearly identical. So you won't be blinding others. And I made a full guide on how I did it on my car. So check out that video if you're interested, but just doing the headlight bulbs alone will do wonders. And another benefit too is that it stays a lot cooler, so the internals of your headlights will last a lot longer as well. The same is also true for the interior lights. These are some warm white LEDs, so they look like the factory lights, but these are much brighter and stay a lot cooler, so it prevents all that plastic from deteriorating from heat. And doing the reverse lights is a great idea as well because you can see much more behind you. These light up the rear better than halogen can ever do, and I think it's one of the first things that should be done. So the next mod is keyless entry. So no cars in North America ever came with keyless entry. They did have some in Euro, but those were all infrared, so those sometimes fail. But this is a new system, and the key fob actually looks pretty decent, just a lock and unlock. And this just taps into your vacuum pump, and it's really simple. Just lock, unlock. So that's just a nice little thing, and this will help preserve your key lock cylinders as well. So over time these will wear out, and I believe the parts are no longer available, so this will just help preserve that a little bit longer. Another great mod is doing the sound system in these cars. The stock speakers don't sound that great, and the head unit kind of is whatever, but here I have a Becker Traffic Pro, which is from another Mercedes. And the benefit of this radio is that I can retrofit Bluetooth. So this is a plug-and-play head unit that requires no wiring at all. And Becker sells a Bluetooth module that I can plug into the back. And now I have Bluetooth. So whenever I turn the key, my phone connects to the car and it's all seamless. Another thing too is I upgraded the speakers in the dash. So these are Polk Audios. So doing just these two things alone, I kept my stock speakers in the side doors in the rear. The sound system greatly improved, and just having Bluetooth is so nice. So you don't have to mess with like a FM transmitter and have it open here and use a cigarette port. So that is just a very nice thing to do to these cars. So these head units are not particularly easy to find. So if you go on eBay, you could check out Becker Traffic Pro, you might get lucky, but if not, Continental, and I don't know the model number off the top of my head, but I'll link it in the description. Continental makes a very OEM looking head unit that has Bluetooth built in, and it is a plug and play for 94, 95 cars. And for the earlier cars, you just have to swap out 2 pins to make it plug and play. It's really simple to retrofit, and it looks pretty good. So I will link that in the description as well. So if I had not found this Becker Traffic Pro, that's probably the route I would have gone. And also, you don't really have to have an OEM looking head unit. You could do anything aftermarket if you prefer like something with Apple CarPlay. And this is all basic stuff in my car, but you could go crazy with the sound system, have amps and speakers all around. But from my experience, the plug and play stuff has left me pretty satisfied with the outcome. So one of the best ways to improve the exterior look of your car is by lowering it. So this car is on H&R springs paired with Koni shocks. So you don't really have to do shocks, but you should. And H&R is like my favorite company to go to for lowering the car. This probably lowered the car probably 2 to 3 inches. That's probably what sets my car off apart from most because of the stance. And the car still rides pretty good. And with these shocks, they are Koni adjustable, so I can firm up the ride a bit if I wanted to. Another benefit of doing shocks and springs is that it will also stiffen up the ride a bit, so it's pretty comfortable still. Cornering wise, it has improved the cornering capabilities of this car. Granted, this particular car, the Cabriolet, is not a great car to corner with just because of the chassis flex. It's definitely better than stock. Another thing that also adds to that is the wheel and tire combination. So if you're to just do one, at least get nice tires. And the tires that I'm running are Michelin Pilot AS3s. So these are all season tires. These are not the best tires in terms of grip, but they're still very comfortable and very good. And the tire size I chose to run was 225/45/17. So I believe the stock tire size on the 124 is 195/65. So the tire is a little bit wider, which kind of helps with grip. And these wheels and tires fill out the wheel well a little bit better too. Wheels go a long way too. So these are 17-inch AMG monoblock Aero 2s. So by going to 17-inch, there are more tire options available that offer grippy tires and summer tires and all that type of stuff. But these wheels, I think, fit really good on this car. These are from a W202. The stance is like pretty perfect. And on top of that, for W124 and W201, you can add the AMG fender spacers, which brings out the fenders 15 millimeters. So you get a little bit more clearance. But yeah, wheels, tires, and going with good suspension, it goes a long way. So another mod that I recommend particularly to M104 owners is the cooling upgrades. So I made a full in-depth video going over exactly what I did, but I'll go over it a little bit here. Generally these cars, even if you have all the cooling system renewed and your head gas is good, they tend to run a little bit warm, especially if you live in a hot climate like I do. Generally, the car will always be above that 100-degree line and getting close to 120 if you're stopped in traffic with the AC on. With my mods, I'm able to keep it well below that 100-degree mark and have the AC on, and it's worry-free. That's something I highly recommend you do. And so all the mods is your cooling system first has to be completely intact and working as designed. So make sure all your hoses are good, your radiator's good, and make sure your coolant's clean as well. So the first thing was the resistor on the auxiliary fan switch. It's just that little resistor right there. It's a really cheap fix for the aux fans, so this will just lower the cut-in temp. This does not affect anything else. This just makes the aux fans come on sooner. So it just tells the computer to turn the fans on at a lower temperature. So the stock is, I believe, at about 107 degrees Celsius. So this will cut it down to about 95. So I'll turn on at 95 and turn off somewhere in the 80s. I cannot remember off the top of my head, but check out the video. I explain everything completely and in depth. So another thing too is the lower temp thermostat. So the thermostat will go in this housing. So on my car, I run a 75-degree thermostat, and with the thermostat, it's a range. So the thermostat starts to open at 75 and opens all the way at, I believe, 90. So this will allow the engine to run in a more optimal range. So 75 sounds kind of low, but the car, it will never be at 75. These engines run really hot. With it being fully open at 90, this prevents the engine from retarding timing. So these engines will retard timing, I think, about 95 as well. So my car will not have any ignition timing retarded. It's a little bit more performance too, I guess, or not performance lost. And the final aspect of the cooling mod is the fan clutch. So this is a W202 C36 fan clutch. So this one just engages at a lower temperature. That's kind of what the point is, to engage the cooling aspects in a lower temperature. And this is all factory stuff here. Factory thermostat, factory fan clutch. The only thing that's aftermarket is a resistor, but this is a full plug and play type deal, no modification required. You can take it off and it'll look like it was never even there. And I could actually flip that resistor to the other side and you won't even see it. So it's all very stock looking stuff. Now this may be hard to see, but the windows are tinted. So I think window tint, especially ceramic tint, anything that heat rejecting, UV rejecting, is well worth the money. This keeps the cabin a lot cooler. Yeah, I know it's convertible, but when the top's up, it makes a huge difference. The heat rejection is insane. I could leave the car out in the sun for a couple hours and the dash is not even hot. So this is the 70% Winco's brand tint. And I chose this particular tint because it's blue. So this will look like the blue glass on a lot of the early 2000s cars. Now I do enjoy the dark tint as well, but I felt like this tint went better with my interior. So I have the parchment interior. This is only 70%, so it's pretty light. At night, you can't even tell it's on there. And the car is tinted all the way around. So I've got the rear glass, side glass, and even the front windshield. And yeah, there's a blue hue, but that's about it. So this looks like factory glass in my opinion, and the heat rejection's like insane. I would highly recommend everyone do this. It'll keep your interior plastic a lot nicer, prevent the leather from cracking from the sun. And I honestly think it looks pretty cool having blue glass. You can kind of tell when it's on a white background. So it's pretty cool. So there you have it. Those are my favorite mods to do on a 124. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, leave them below, and I'll leave a link to what I talked about in the description. And thank you for watching.